everyone. Welcome to This Day. I'm Michael Taylor. It is Friday, September 29th. I hope you're having a great week so far and ready for the weekend. I know I am. Hey, we got a packed show for you, so let's get right to it. Providence Mission Hospital, we're going to talk to Dr. Nader Nurian about some of those weight loss drugs you've heard so much about. They're also for diabetes, and the good, the bad, and the ugly about maybe you choosing to go that route. So we're going to talk about that. Sports Corner with Cole Young, always a good time. And El Toro Water District, Mike Gaskins is here. We're going to be talking about water quality right here in the village, so make sure you watch for that. Hey, we want to keep you informed, and so we got a great thing for you coming up. It is going to be this wonderful show with a tribute band for Tom Jones, and it's for the low, low price of free, folks, so you can't beat the price ticket on that one. All of the sponsors you see on the left, they're making that possible for folks in Laguna Woods Village to come out there and see a great show. And so it's called What's New Pussycat. It's going to be Saturday, September 30th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., obviously free. And I understand that he's a great, great performer. They have a great band, so make sure you get out there. The phone number and website at the bottom if you're interested in that. Let's take a look outside and check our weather. We actually have some weather to talk about, right? Instead of sunny and mild, we're going to get some rain this weekend, pretty much for sure at this point for Saturday. We're going to have the temperatures really dip into the 60s, a lot cooler than our normal temperatures this time of year. Maybe some scattered showers on Sunday morning as well. We're putting partly cloudy in there right now, but maybe just a little bit. And then we hit a warm up, after we get the showers, we get that Santa Ana kind of stuff going on. We're going to have a warm up next week. So enjoy the cooler weather, enjoy the rain if you do, and we'll get out there and enjoy that myself. Let's take a look at our sunrise and our sunset. Sunrise, oh, itsy bitsy spider, watch out for the water spout. It's going to get rained on this weekend. That photo is from Sue and Jules, and we got a little spider action going on there. Our sunrise was 6:44 this morning. Sunset going to be 6:38. Hey, and you can send us some pictures too if you want to. Send us your pictures of your pets, places, spiders, wild animals, sunsets, anything like that. Make sure you send it to Laguna Woods Village TV at gmail.com. Make sure you include your name, where you took the picture, and make sure it's horizontal so we can make sure it fits on the screen. Okay, let's take a look at some meetings, and then when we come back, Providence Mission Hospital, we're going to be talking about Ozempic and some weight loss drugs. Stay with us.
Welcome to Pacific Financial Planners. We focus on income replacement for your retirement. We have over 3 decades of professional money management experience. We personalize a plan that's right for you and your family. You only get one shot at retirement. Don't you think you better get it right? So give us a call for your free consultation. We can do this over the phone, via Zoom, or in person.
Time to play by your own rules. It's out with the old way of getting older, and in with the new age of celebrating your age. At Alignment Health, senior health care is all we do. Our Medicare Advantage plans are leading the charge, so you can be the one in charge.
I love being in charge.
Because life should be a celebration, not a resignation. Welcome to a new era of aging. Alignment Health Plan.
Oh, life, how we admire you, are deeply fascinated by you. All your twists and turns and wild rides you take us on. The ups and the downs. Life, you live inside all of us, breathing, growing, beating. You are the reason we'll always provide world-class healthcare. Providence, we see the life in you.
There's a new class of medication out there. You can take it oral or injectables, and it not only controls blood sugar, which was developed for diabetes, but it also facilitates weight loss. You've heard of Ozempic, Mounjaro, and there are all sorts of other drugs out there. We're going to be talking about that today. We want to welcome Dr. Nader Nurian from Providence Mission Hospital. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
So let's kind of the briefer for folks who maybe don't know about this. These were drugs that were developed for diabetes, right?
Yes. Originally, again, for type 2 diabetes, which is different than the type 1 diabetes. Just maybe little introduction. Type 1 diabetes, as you know, is the type that there is no insulin production.
Right.
Type 2, which is majority of what we see out there, is 95% almost of the diabetes is type 2, is insulin resistance in addition to lack of insulin.
Okay. And so during the testing, they found that not only was it working for folks, right, but there was also the kind of ancillary effect of some people lost weight while using these, right?
So in addition to increasing insulin production and creating more sensitive environment for the tissue to use the insulin, they also noticed that it suppresses the appetite.
Okay.
And once it suppresses the appetite in the brain, it caused weight loss.
Right.
Majority of them cause about 10 to 15 pound weight loss over a 6-month period. Some of them at the higher doses can go up to about 20 to 30 pounds.
Okay. And like any kind of appetite suppressant that you might be able to take, was that an intention of that when they went in there, or is that just kind of a side effect of the drugs you have to use to...
Very likely it was more of a, some not side effect, but unintentional outcome.
Okay.
Yes.
So word gets out about this
Yes.
through the grapevine, and Ozempic starts to become the catch drug for people who want to maybe lose weight, but maybe not exactly needing the medication for diabetes, right? So some people are taking this without the need for diabetes.
Absolutely. So one good thing about this class of medicines are that for diabetic patients, it will help them by increasing insulin production. In non-diabetics, it doesn't affect the blood sugar. So you don't really worry about hypoglycemia or drop in the blood sugar. So a normal individual can take this medicine without worrying about hypoglycemia, but at the same time get the benefit of the weight loss.
And in the initial, at least there in the beginning, there were some shortages because it became such a popular, talked about,
Yes,
they talked about it on the
very much so.
Oscars, and all of a sudden there were shortages of this. So are we okay there in terms of the people who need these kinds of medications being able to get them now?
There's still a lot of shortages out there.
Okay.
Actually, most pharmacies, including some of the big chains, still don't have some of the special doses. Yeah.
Now, from my understanding, there are side effects to this. Some people have that kind of extreme nausea, and they really have some bad side, and they actually, it doesn't work for them. Can you talk about the side effects?
Sure.
Are there dangers there?
Absolutely. So just like any medication, there are certain type of side effects that you have to look for, and those are the things that we educate the patients and we want to know about. Fortunately, these side effects happen early, so most people will know within a few days. One of the things that these medicines do is they decrease the transition of food through the GI system. That means the food sits in your stomach longer. And that can give some people a sensation of nausea, fullness, sometimes stomach cramping. Sometimes you develop a little bit of constipation, but the incidence is very low, probably less than a few percentage, maybe 2, 3, 4%. So not everybody experiences it, but at the same time, it's out there.
Yeah, so and in terms of the tamping down of the appetite, I know some people who've struggled with weight loss say, I'm thinking about my next meal right after, and the Ozempic and the other drugs in this family kind of like made those thoughts go away, which was like a real kind of like amazing kind of feeling for someone to have, so I can see where the draw is to these drugs, right?
Absolutely. So one defect for diabetes is obesity, right?
Right.
So unfortunately, obesity contributes to diabetes. At the same time, makes it very difficult to lose the weight. So majority of the medicines we've had up to now, they cause weight gain or they've been weight neutral. And that's what's a big buzz about this new class is that they cause weight loss. So once you lose the weight, first of all, it's a nice psychological boost to the patients, right? I mean, you feel better about yourself, you know you're doing something positive. But at the same time, it really helps the diabetes because it helps with the insulin resistance, which is one of the big factors with type 2.
Okay. What about some long-term in terms of side effects or impacts? Do we know, is it too early to kind of know what's going on long-term with some of the patients?
Very good question. I'm sure on longer term, some of these medicines have been around about 10 years. You know, the Byada and the Bydureon that came out initially about 10 years ago. So we do have a good track record that they are safe. But any other medicine that comes out, we need time. But so far, we haven't seen anything that we would be worried about. Yeah.
Are the drug companies reformulating now? They're saying, hey, look at what happened here. Now let's, instead of making a diabetes and weight loss, can they take what they've done here and they kind of repurpose and come out with weight loss? Are they working on that part of things?
All of these drugs that came out under the diabetes, initial diabetes treatment, now are going to have a counterbalance on the weight loss side. So, for example, Victoza is going to have this Wegovy. Victoza is going to have the Saxenda, and then Ozempic has the Wegovy.
Okay.
So, and then Mounjaro, which is the new one for diabetes, is going to have one that's going to come out very quickly.
Okay. Can I talk maybe something a little away from your expertise, but just in the you deal with patients, I'm sure, who have weight problems and weight challenges. And we have spent a lot of time, a lot of years lately talking about, hey, we should be okay with whatever size we are as long as we're happy and healthy. Does having a pill like this kind of say, well, to people, like, it kind of like undermines that whole philosophy of like, you should be, as long as you feel good about yourself and have good body image, don't worry about your weight so much? Does it kind of say, well, why aren't you just taking a pill? Does it kind of undermine that whole kind of overall philosophy that we've had for so many years?
Very good question. That's a good question. There are different answers to that.
Right. It's almost more just like, in terms of therapy.
So just like anything else, I mean, as a physician, you really focus on what's going to help the patient's condition. And with diabetes, we know the weight is an important factor. So if we can somehow find a way of reducing the weight, clearly it's going to help with the diabetes. So for that point of view, we can definitely see a positivity with these drugs. There's definitely a social stigmata about weight in general, right? But anything that can help people, both psychologically and physically, I think that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, and I can imagine for people who've had the side effects and they said they have to go off of it, does the weight usually come back as well? Have you seen that?
So far, again, maybe a little bit early to see, but I'm sure just like anything else, part of the benefit of the drug is that appetite suppressive effect. And I'm sure to some degree some of that may come back, but hopefully over time patients get used to a better way of eating, and with some more education in nutrition and dietitian or diet control, we can definitely see a benefit.
Somebody walks into Providence Mission Hospital, sits down with you and says, I want this.
Right.
Whether let's start with a diabetic patient. What's your assessment? What do you do and say, okay, this is the class for you, this is the drug for you?
Right. So for diabetes, of course, it's a different type of criteria.
Right.
For weight loss.
We'll get to that question next.
Yes.
For weight loss next. That's this one here.
For sure. For the weight loss, there are actually criteria. We look at the BMI. BMI is, of course, weight for height. That's the way we look at somebody's weight.
The body mass index is
exactly,
BMI, right?
The BMI. You're well educated. Good for you. So that's actually the indication that we can use for using these medications for weight loss. Mostly a BMI over 27 with a comorbidity, such as, let's say, a hypertension or high cholesterol or heart disease would qualify, or BMI over 30. Some of them have a BMI of 35 for qualification. A lot of it is also insurance-based.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's a different assessment for both. And when a diabetic patient comes in, is it almost always, okay, we need to get you on this, or is it are they not reacting to their current medications aren't working for them as well as they could?
Great question. So there are different types of diabetic medicines, right? And they really target diabetes at different points, different defects.
Right.
Again, there are 3 points for diabetes type 2. One is decreased insulin production. The other one is insulin resistance. And also there is a defect with the liver that it produces too much blood sugar, right? These medicines target all 3.
Okay.
And that as far as that's concerned, it's tremendously beneficial.
Okay.
Most medications target 1 or maximum 2 defects, but something that can, give you that comprehensive treatment is going to be important.
Okay, well, thank you for the information.
Oh,
makes
absolutely.
a lot of sense, and I think very informative for people who don't quite understand what's going on. They're hearing these things, but they don't quite understand it. Dr. Nolan Nurian from Providence Mission Hospital, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to be checking out the Sports Corner and then El Toro water quality. Stay with us.
Welcome back to this Friday's edition of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young. It's been a busy week in the sports world, so I will jump right into the storylines and updates. To start, like every show during football season, I'll give you the recap of last week and the preview of this upcoming week in the NFL. It was a pretty historic week for the Miami Dolphins as they put up the second best offensive game in NFL history. Hosting the Broncos in their home opener in Miami, the Dolphins put up 726 yards of total offense and dominated Denver, winning 70-20. So, here's a rundown of all the records they broke. The 70 points became a new franchise record in Miami, and the most points any NFL team has scored since Washington scored 72 in 1966. They were the first team in NFL history to record 5 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in the same game, and the second team in history to record more than 700 yards of total offense since the Rams in 1951. Third-round pick running back Devon Achane picked up 233 total yards and 4 touchdowns, while other running back Raheem Mostert also racked up 4 total touchdowns. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa started the game going 17 for 17 passing, including a 54-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill on the third play of the game. The lefty quarterback would end the game 23 of 26 for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. Aside from the historic beatdown by the Dolphins, there were a few nail-biter games. Green Bay narrowly brought down the Saints 18-17. The Chargers hung on in the final seconds to get their first win of the season against Minnesota. The Colts forced overtime in Baltimore and upset the Ravens. And the Cardinals shocked the world by beating the Cowboys. Hopefully there won't be too many shocking upsets this week, so maybe I can finally go 4-0 in my picks. With a 3-1 record last week, I'm sitting at 8-4 overall. Here are my 4 winners for this week. The Rams over the Colts, the Bucks to get a win over the division rival Saints, the Chargers to beat the Raiders in LA, and Minnesota to get their first win of the season in Carolina. If college football is more your speed, there are some major must-see matchups to watch this weekend. Tonight at 6 p.m., number 10 Utah is on the road against Pac-12 rival number 19 Oregon State, but the biggest game in my opinion will be tomorrow. I've talked about them for weeks, but the Colorado Buffaloes had their first taste of adversity after getting blown out by Oregon last weekend. Colorado has now fallen out of the top 25 and will be back at home in Boulder this week to host number 8, the USC Trojans. USC is sitting at 4-0 and will be looking to crack into the top 5 this week. Kickoff for this game will be 9 a.m. tomorrow morning on Fox. Like I mentioned a while back, the MLB regular season is coming to its end and the playoffs begin on Tuesday the 3rd with Game 1 for both the AL and NL wildcard games. The Dodgers have officially cemented their first round bye, so they will play the winning team of the wildcard round in the NLDS next weekend. A lot can change over the weekend, but as of right now, it looks like the Dodgers will play the winner of the Milwaukee-Chicago matchup. The NBA preseason kicks off next week, but in typical NBA fashion, a major headline came out right before the action started. The Portland Trail Blazers are trading guard Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks as a part of a 3-team deal that also includes the Phoenix Suns. Portland will receive Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, and a handful of picks. The Suns receive 4 players, including Grayson Allen. Lillard leaves Portland after 11 seasons in which he made 7 All-Star and All-NBA teams and led the franchise to the playoffs 8 times, including a Western Conference Finals appearance in 2018-2019. He ranks first in team history in both points and three-pointers and second in assists. The Bucks now added a very key piece and will look to return to the finals this season. To round out the show, the 2023 WNBA playoffs are coming to a close. Here's a look at how the bracket has gone down so far. Earlier this week, New York Liberty forward Breanna Stewart was named the 2023 WNBA MVP on Tuesday. Stewart, who previously won the award in 2018, is the 8th player in league history to win multiple MVP awards. She averaged 23 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, and 3.8 assists per game to lead the number 2 New York Liberty to a 32-8 regular season and a Commissioner's Cup championship in her first year with the franchise. The finals are just around the corner, and I imagine it will be a matchup between the Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. As always, thank you for joining me on this week's episode of Sports Corner. Enjoy your final few days of September, and I'll see you right back here next Friday in October. I'm Cole Young. Have a great weekend.
I want to welcome Mike Gaskins from the El Toro Water District to the program. Welcome back, Mike.
Thank you. It's
Good
been
to
a
see you
while.
again. Yeah, it's been a minute. We want to talk about water quality.
That's a good topic.
That's a great place to start off. And since you're the director of the Water District, why don't you tell us the basic report on the water quality we have here in the village?
Right. Well, that was my kind of intent. And, water
How are we doing?
is such an important. I think El Toro is exceptional.
Right.
The people I work with and the staff we have are top of the heap completely. And even the guys you see out running around in the streets, checking on things, they're dedicated, hardworking, and they're all certified.
And
They
you,
have
and
to
you
have
take it
licenses.
seriously because you're tasked with the water safety and providing the water, but water safety and making sure that we all have clean and good and reliable drinking water, right?
And among other things, yeah. Well, the irony of the whole water industry as a whole is we build all this infrastructure to capture and bring to you and deliver and give you water, make sure it's safe to drink, and then we tell you not to buy it. and then we have to figure out how to pay for it.
Right.
But it's all a challenge, but the most important thing is the water quality by far. And so there are government standards for everything. Some items, the new PFAs, PFOs, are measured in parts per trillion,
Okay.
which is ridiculously small.
So what would you say is one of the biggest challenges that we have in this area in terms of keeping the water quality to the levels that it needs to be? Because we import a lot of our water, so we
All
have
of it.
multiple sources coming in. It's not like we're taking it from one spring or something like with other districts in the country may have an advantage there.
And it's cheaper that way.
Yeah, it certainly is, right?
It is. El Toro is completely dependent on imported water, and we get water from the Metropolitan Water District on the big side. We are in partnership on a treatment plant not too far from here with Irvine and Moulton Nigel called the Baker Treatment Plant, and
Right.
the water we deliver is treated either in Mission Viejo, but you've got the slides on the thing showing
Right.
the pipes coming up, pumping up from Colorado, where the water flows by gravity almost all the way to Riverside from this. And then you've got the State Water Project. If you've driven up I-5, you've seen much of that. And go ahead.
How secure is our supply in terms of what you, as the district, are able to make sure you acquire and guarantee in contracts, or however that works in terms of, okay, this is 40% coming from here, and we are good for the next X amount of years?
Well, as you remember, we came out of a almost historic drought.
Right.
And last wet year saved us. And so there was actually an excess of water being dealt with in different places. Colorado River is still in deficit.
All right. But certainly Northern California,
But
those
Northern
reservoir-
California has got
Right.
a lot of water, and the industry is looking for ways to capture and store that water. And so those are the projects that you're going to be seeing in the next few years, are storage projects. But when they get to us, the water normally has been treated before it enters in our system. And is treated with a chemical called chlorine, which you almost always hear bad things about. But I would argue that chlorine has done more to extend human lifespan than any other chemical because it prevents the spread of disease.
Right.
It's not trying to cure anything,
Right.
but it's going to prevent it.
And well, and the reality of chlorine, from my understanding, is it dissipates. It literally goes away. That's why you have to keep adding chlorine to pools and things like that.
That's because it's so chemically active, so corrosive almost, and so it's a very good disinfectant. And it, like you said, it doesn't stay in the system.
Right.
So, but we have to monitor it. We send out every year to our customers a drink water quality report. And if you don't have one of these, you can stop by the district and pick one up, or you can go online and read it there. But it talks about all the chemicals that are in our water. Our lab doesn't do all the testing for some of the more exotic things and very low concentration things, but are required by federal government. But we get to 12,000 tests per year just in our lab. And we
Okay.
have 70 different sample locations. I always think our district looks like a brontosaurus with the neck going up to the right, up along
So
El
these are all
Toro
the
Road.
sites where there's testings going on and making sure that
They're dedicated
their
sample
points.
sites that are protected from vandalism or any kind of people messing with them. And they also give us continuity. And the water flows through the district in different pressure zones. And so these are designated to make sure we capture all the distribution areas. And we have staff out there.
Right. And so as a whole, you know what, one of the things I think is always interesting is that the bottled water industry has told us, like, you know, oh gosh, the health benefits of bottled water versus that. But as a whole, as a nation, we have probably one of the best water out of the tap quality in terms of that, you know, from anybody else in the world.
Absolutely true.
Is there any health risk to drinking water straight from the tap?
Absolutely not. And again, we test it more often than the bottled water. The bottled water is put in the bottle. And if you look at the cost, even just a regular bottled water budget, you know, is still costing almost as much as gasoline before gas went crazy. You know, and the only reason to drink bottled water is if you like the taste so much better. There's no health reason. There's nothing else that would be.
Right. There's nothing in their tap water that is bad or indifferent. They're good. They're one-for-one examples.
Because usually a large portion of our water comes from the Colorado River. We do get some depositions of minerals along your plumbing. You'll see that come up like that.
And that'll give that taste that some people say, oh, it tastes.
Well, a lot of people like our water, so anyways, but it's. I always say it's just, you know, your own little piece of the Grand Canyon.
There you go. Well, Mike Gatskin's Water District Director, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being in today.
Well, thank you for having me and having us. And here behind me, in this little corner down there, right over there, is our water reclamation plant.
That's where you're headed back to maybe today. All right.
Okay.
I want to tell you about the Saturday movie before we go. It's Bridges at Tokyo Ri with Grace Kelly and Mickey Rooney and some other great folks in there. It's an old classic. It's brought to us by Memorial Care. It's going to be on at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without the subtitles. That's going to do it for this edition of This Day. For all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.
We are back to back because you've done it again. You voted us the #1 place to buy a hearing aid in Orange County.
Thank you so much for your votes, your referrals, and your support. We hope to see you in the office again soon.
Thanks for voting us #1.
Amazing Hearing, voted the best place to buy a hearing aid in all of Orange County. Call us or come by to set up an appointment. We're located in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center.